Chapter 51:29. Master Cheng's face was extremely dark, but Sister Hong was feeling pretty good. She couldn't wait to kill this man. When she gets out, Master Cheng seemed to have seen through her inner thoughts. He sneered and took out a big cigar. He looked at her and said, "I advise you to put away that thought. Without my permission, you won't be able to get out." Sister Hong glared at him. Master Cheng leaned forward and sneered. "Sister Mai too. How can you stand this smell? It's so pungent. Why don't you brush your teeth?" Sister Hong sneered. Master Cheng's heart cursed. This woman was so sinister. She knew what he would do to her, so she purposely stunk him to death. Master Cheng couldn't help but say, "Don't worry, an ugly woman like you only needs to have your hair done once. You have a bad temper and are extremely fierce. If you didn't hurt me, I would have locked you up. Sumu is looking for you, so I'm in a difficult position. It's not good to kill you, but it's not good to keep you. If you were prettier, I could have used you to do my hair. But you're so ugly and stinky. Isn't it a waste of money for me to keep you?" Master Cheng was very angry. Whenever he was angry, he would talk a lot. "Oh right, your fat ex-husband is looking for you." Master Cheng didn't care. He lit a cigar in the ward and said, "Fatty is quite concerned about you. Aren't you touched?" "All right, I told him about your date with a little fresh meat. I also told him that we had our hair done." Master Cheng grinned. "Is it new? Does it irritate the big reporter?" Sister Hong was simply too impressed with this man. Did this man use his toes to get to where he was today? He was so, simply too amazing. She ignored him and covered her head with the blanket. She knew in her heart that he wouldn't let her off so easily. He might really kill her like a chicken, but he was afraid that Su Mu would be angry. Sister Hong sneered in her heart. This kind of man actually had a conscience and someone he cared about. He didn't deserve to like Su Mu. No matter how rich he was just an uneducated man. While Sister Hong was thinking about this, Master Cheng spoke again. His voice was light as a feather. "By the way, your ex-husband knelt down for you and almost cried. He wanted to save you. Are you touched? It's a pity that you can't see his infatuation." Sister Hong was still using the blanket to cover her head, but her fingers were clenched very tightly. Her lips trembled in shock. She knew that Zhang Fucai was a selfish and petty person, a very cunning man. She had hated him in the past, but that was a long time ago. She had thought that he would hate her, but someone like him had knelt down just to save her. He was clearly a timid person. It was impossible that he hadn't heard of Cheng Zheng's name. Sister Hong didn't say anything, but she started crying. It wasn't because he was moved, but because he felt that things had remained the same, but people had changed. When they were young, they had a good time. Later, she felt that her sincerity had been fed to a dog, and Zhang Fucai had been removed from her life. But now, she felt that she had not loved him in vain, and that man was not as cowardly as she had imagined. He could be considered a man. Just as she buried her head and cried, the blanket was lifted. Master Cheng stared at her tearful face and said unhappily, "You're so touched by a weakling. Are you thinking of getting out alive to do your hair with him?" In Master Cheng's heart, men and women were just like that. There was no need to talk about love. Chapter 51:30. Sister Hong suddenly pulled the quilt away and slapped Master Cheng hard. Sister Hong suddenly pulled the quilt away and slapped Master Cheng's face. Although she was weak, this slap wasn't. Master Cheng was dumbfounded. Master Cheng was dumbfounded. Master Cheng was furious. How dare she hit him? Did this woman want to die? At this time, she still dared to hit him. Did she know that he wanted to kill her as if she was a chicken? In a rage, Master Cheng also hit her. The slap made Sister Hong's ears ring again. Master Cheng never held back when he hit women. He always treated women like men. Master Cheng hit her in a rage. Sister Hong lay there for a long time without moving. Master Cheng went to pull her hair. It was quite rude, but when he pulled it, he found that she had fainted. Damn, she was so weak. Master Cheng was furious. He didn't want to care about this woman's life or death. He smoked his cigar and was about to leave, but after a few steps, he touched his head again. If Mumu finds out that I killed her friend, will she blame me? Thinking about this, He turned back and pressed the bell. His voice was as loud as a bell. "Are the doctors and nurses shit? Hurry up and give her first aid." The doctors and nurses here were also unlucky. In the past, Master Chung had a hole in his body and came to look for trouble. Now, he had injured someone and came to look for trouble again. This woman was also a pitiful woman. After Master Chung played with her, she was starved for a few days. Thinking about it made him feel miserable. Master Chung didn't care. He only wanted her alive. He wanted to leave it first. He had already done his duty. If she died, it had nothing to do with him. He was not a doctor. But later, he touched her head and stayed. There was no big problem with Sister Hong, but she was too weak. After the first aid, the doctor sincerely persuaded Master Chung. "Master Chung, you can't hit her casually in the future. If you hit her again, her ears will probably have problems. If she can't hear, she will be considered disabled." Master Chung was unhappy. "Then when I want to vent my anger, will you hit her for me?" The doctor was speechless. Was he still a man who hit a woman? Master Chung didn't care. Anyway, this woman provoked him first. There was still a hole in his body. This woman was too ruthless. It was already merciful of him not to kill her. He only hit her a few times, and it was still light. Delicate. If she couldn't take a beating, she wasn't fit to be his woman. Master Chung stayed behind and even found a nurse to entertain himself. The nurse thought highly of herself and was unwilling at first. Master Chung took 100,000 and won her over. One had to admit that Master Cheng's money was sometimes omnipotent. When Sister Hong woke up, the first thing she heard was the sound, followed by the visual impact. She closed her eyes and swore that Chung Zheng was the most shameless man she had ever met. Was he any different from a beast? Sister Hong closed her eyes. "Can't you spend some money to find a room outside?" It was really an eyesore. That woman was willing to do it. Master Chung didn't have the time to pay attention to her, since he was overjoyed about half an hour later. Master Chung finally sent the nurse away and looked at the woman on the bed. "You're just jealous of her." Sister Hong laughed angrily. "I'm jealous of her?" Master Chung came over and said shamelessly, "I know you can't forget that taste, right? Brush your toothbrush and I'll reward you." Sister Hong really wanted to give him a big slap. This was too shameless. Master Chung wouldn't think that she was shameless and think that she was doing him a favor. The nurse just now was young and beautiful with a good figure. However, she wasn't as good as the big reporter. Master Chung suspected that his taste had changed. In the past, he didn't like old women. After Master Chung said that, he looked at Sister Hong passionately. He was quite confident that as long as he was willing, there was no woman he couldn't get. Wasn't Sister Hong quite happy last time? She didn't mean what she said. She obviously liked him, but she pretended that she didn't like him. Big reporters were so pretentious. She probably despised him for being uncouth, but he was rich. Master Chung suddenly thought of an idea. He coughed lightly and said, "All right, let's talk. Let's have a friendly talk." Sister Hong probably guessed what he wanted to do. She smiled coldly and said, "We have nothing to talk about." Master Chung smiled as well. "Monthly contract, 5 million a month. Deal?" "No." Sister Hong was very straightforward. She wasn't for sale. Master Chung smiled, revealing his beautiful snow-white teeth. He smoked a cigar. 10 million a month. Think about it, big reporter. With your looks and age, there's a man who's willing to spend a lot of money to support you. You'll be happy even in your dreams. With a physique like mine, you should be the one spending money. Master Chung was really shameless to the extreme. Sumu really couldn't stand him anymore. He turned his head and said, "You think you're so great just because you have some money?" Master Chung leaned over and found it interesting. He blew a puff of smoke on her face. "My most valuable thing isn't money, huh?" Chapter 51:31. Master Chung leaned over and felt that it was interesting. He puffed a mouthful of smoke on her face. "My most valuable thing is not money, huh?" He puffed another mouthful of smoke. Looking at her uncomfortable expression, he smiled happily. To conquer a woman, money was good enough. No matter how bad-tempered a woman was, her knees would go soft at the sight of money. No woman was an exception, except for his Mumu. Master Chung had always thought that Grandpa Mao was useful, and he had investigated this big reporter. He was not a person who did not love money, and he also had a lot of dark history. Sister Hong looked at him angrily. Chung Zheng, do you think money is omnipotent? In my opinion, women are omnipotent. If 10 million isn't enough, then 20 million. Tell me a number, but I advise you not to be too greedy. There are many women outside begging me to dote on them. Master Chung was proud. Sister Hong ignored him and gritted her teeth. Lunatic, you're crazy. You're a pervert. Master Cheng's expression immediately turned ugly. He glared at Sister Hong. You really refuse a toast, only to drink a forfeit. No matter what. She was lying down now, and he couldn't kill her. Master Chung returned to Be City's downtown area and arrived at his big villa. He didn't care that Su Jian's injuries were not light, and just ran amok. Su Jian was also a cheap wretch. She had been beaten with a belt before, and now that Master Chung had lit a lamp for her, she was actually willing to serve Master Chung with her injuries. Master Chung was very happy, and he immediately rewarded her with a big villa. Women should be like this, obedient, and be beaten and scolded. That woman, Lu Hong, was too unreasonable. She dared to fight back when he hit her, and she was quite strong. Master Chung had been around for so many years, and had only been injured by his enemies, but he had never been beaten by a woman to the hospital. She had even poked a small hole in his stomach. Master Chung could not be bothered with Sister Hong now. He asked someone to keep an eye on her. As long as she didn't die, it would be fine. If she made a scene, she would be locked up in a mental hospital. Master Chung had always been so domineering when dealing with things. On the other side, Zhang Fucai was beaten and frightened by Master Chung. He actually went to the hospital. Su Mu went to see him. It wasn't because she was concerned about Zhang Fucai, but mainly because she was worried about Hong Jie. Zhang Fucai's little wife was here. She was a very honest girl, completely different from Du Meili. Su Mu only felt that it was a pity. Zhang Fucai's wife was still around, so Du Meili sat on the bed like the hostess and fed Zhang Fucai apples. She spoke softly and slowly, and Zhang Fucai looked quite touched. Su Mu went over to talk for a while. When Zhang Fucai mentioned Sister Hong, he was a little absent-minded. Then, he suddenly said, Lu Hong is definitely with Master Chung. Even if you beg him, he will pretend not to know. There's nothing we can do about him. Because Master Chung didn't want her to know, she could only ask Yi Xiangnan for help. The Yi family and the Wen family had a close relationship. When Editor-in-Chief Zhang said this, Su Mu said softly, I understand. At this time, she almost couldn't think about how embarrassing it would be to see Yi Xiangnan and what kind of expression he would show her when she begged him. Because she had no other choice. She looked for Chung Zheng, but Chung Zheng didn't want to see her. She even looked for Su Jian, but Su Jian changed her attitude from before and directly said she didn't know. Su Mu had no other choice. She could only look for Yi Xiangnan. When she went out, Du Meili followed her out. Du Meili looked proud of herself. Now that Sister Hong's whereabouts were unknown, she could do whatever she wanted in the news agency. If there were no accidents, she would also be in charge of the news agency. Du Meili was especially proud of herself. She couldn't wait for Sister Hong to explode and never come back. In the elevator, Du Meili said arrogantly, Su Mu, why are you so stupid? Is Lu Hong worth your sacrifice? If CEO Yi makes things difficult for you, don't blame me for not reminding you. CEO Yi was very unhappy when you rejected CEO Yi before. Now, I don't know how to humiliate you. Besides, when Master Chung pursued you in such a high profile, CEO Yi was probably wondering if you were having an affair with him. Normal people would hide from him, but you, on the other hand, kept trying to get close to him. Are you stupid? Su Mu looked down at her toes and smiled. If only everyone was like Deputy Editor-in-Chief, the world would be at peace. Du Meili also heard the mockery in her words. She snorted and took out a mirror to tidy herself up. Don't be afraid that I didn't remind you. When the time comes, it will be too late to cry. Yi Xiangnan is not a man with a good temper, especially when you have been with so many men and made him wear so many green hats. Su Mu didn't want to pay attention to this woman. This woman was crazy. As soon as the elevator door opened, she went out, stopped a taxi, and went directly to the headquarters of Stars Entertainment. This time, she didn't go in as freely as before. The receptionist stopped her and called her Miss Sue. Miss Sue, who in the company are you looking for? Su Mu pursed her lips. I want to see Yi Xiangnan. No, your CEO Yi. The receptionist was still smiling sweetly. CEO Yi is in a meeting. How about I help you pass the message, and CEO Yi will see you when he is free? What do you think? The receptionist was very polite. Su Mu knew that she couldn't ask for too much with her current identity, so she sat on the sofa in the hall and waited. The receptionist poured her a cup of hot tea. The service was very considerate. Su Mu said thank you and waited patiently. She waited from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, but there was still no movement. The receptionist was a little embarrassed. Miss Sue, let me help you call CEO Yi to ask if the meeting is over. After that, she dialed the number of Secretary Li on the top floor. After passing through the third secretary and the second secretary, she finally reached Secretary Li. After inquiring, she knew that CEO Yi had left the company for half an hour. The receptionist was very sorry to Su Mu and said that CEO Yi had left. How about Miss Sue contact CEO Yi privately? Su Mu said thank you and was about to leave. A voice came from the elevator. Wait a minute, Su Mu. Su Mu turned her head and saw Secretary Li walking towards her. She forced a smile. What's wrong? Secretary Li sighed, then pulled her aside and whispered, CEO, you went to this club to discuss business with someone. He will finish at about 8 o'clock. You can wait outside. You know his car. With that, she gave a small note to her. Su Mu said thank you in a low voice. Secretary Li whispered again, I know you are here to ask CEO Yi about reporter Lu. CEO Yi has been in a bad mood recently. Especially, he may not like you very much. Be careful. Don't let him get anything on you. Su Mu nodded. At this time, she couldn't think about herself. She couldn't feel at ease if Sister Hong couldn't find her. When Su Mu arrived at the club, the lights on the street were already on and the sky was full of neon lights. Chapter 5132. Su Mu did see Yi Xiangnan's car at the entrance of the club. She stood in front of the car and waited. The night was cold. Even though she was wearing thick clothes, she still felt cold without food. She didn't dare to eat as she was afraid that he would suddenly leave. She didn't want to go to the villa to look for him. She was afraid that Cymbidium Chinense would be embarrassed if he saw her. She waited until 8 o'clock, but he still didn't come out. Later, it was almost 10 o'clock. Su Mu couldn't take it anymore. She walked to the entrance of the club and asked if CEO Yi was in. The doorman saw her and asked cautiously who she was to CEO Yi. Su Mu thought for a moment and said that she was the mother of CEO Ye's child. The doorman immediately understood. However, they couldn't just let anyone in. Since it was CEO Ye's acquaintance, he still had to inform him. The doorman entered the most luxurious room. There were about 4 to 5 men having fun. They weren't talking about business. CEO Yi was carrying a young lady in his arms. The young lady was quite understanding. She knew how to make people happy, and she didn't dare to do anything that would make CEO Yi unhappy. The doorman came in and told them that a Miss Sue wanted to see CEO Yi. Yi Xiangnan looked up and glanced at the person with his long and narrow eyes. What Miss Sue? I don't know her. Let her go. The doorman could tell that CEO Yi obviously knew her. Besides, the woman outside the door didn't look like she would lie. But no matter what, CEO Yi was of high status. If he said that he didn't know her, it could only be that he didn't know her. He went out to tell Su Mu. Su Mu bit her lower lip. I'll wait here. Thank you. The doorman tactfully told her that she could only wait outside. Su Mu could only wait outside. The winter night in B City was -7 or 8 degrees Celsius. Her face was purple from the cold. She couldn't stop stomping her feet. Yi Xiangnan seemed to be in a particularly good mood tonight. He didn't come out until 12 o'clock. No matter how stupid Su Mu was, she could guess that he was definitely not talking about business. He was most likely having fun. She felt an inexplicable bitterness in her heart, but now she forced herself not to think about it. No matter how uncomfortable it was, she had to beg him, even in such an unbearable situation. Standing there, Su Mu was actually very inconspicuous. At least, she was extremely inconspicuous compared to the girls coming and going here. She was also dressed very ordinarily, but there was no lack of drunken customers messing around. As soon as they saw a woman standing on the roadside, they thought that it was something. They pulled at each other and asked for money to buy Su Mu, saying that it was 2,000 yuan, which was extremely unpleasant and unbearable. They couldn't afford to offend any of the customers here, and the doorman didn't dare to help them openly. However, he had guessed the relationship between Su Mu and Yi Xiangnan. If something happened to Su Mu in front of their door and caused a scandal, their clubhouse would be torn down tomorrow. After weighing the pros and cons, he immediately rushed in and said the matter before he knocked on the door. Outside the door, when they were still pulling at each other, a very lazy voice came from the hall of the clubhouse. "Who's so noisy?" The drunk customer was not too drunk. He actually recognized Yi Xiangnan and said with a flattering smile, "Bossy, I just saw a good-looking woman, but she's not very generous. She actually didn't want to. I could spend 10,000 yuan on her, but she won't." Sumu shook him off, feeling very embarrassed. If it were usual, she would have left long ago, but she couldn't leave at this time. She pulled her hair to one side and lowered her head. Yi Xiangnan looked at her and smiled. Then he said to the man, "Boss Wang has bad taste and is not very good-looking. Pick one from the clubhouse and take her away. I'll pay for Boss Wang." Chapter 51:33. If it was someone else, they would have known better, but CEO Wang was drunk and thought that he was on the same level as the Honorable CEO Yi. He smiled and said, "How can I let CEO Yi spend money? I want this woman, and I will take her away no matter how much it costs. If 10,000 isn't enough, 100,000. CEO Wang threw out the money and almost threw it on Su Mu's face. Su Mu was embarrassed. She bit her lips and lowered her eyes, not saying a word. Director Wang wanted to pull him back again, but in the next second his cumbersome body was kicked away. Director Wang wailed and then lay on the ground like a dead pig. Yi Xiangnan said coldly, "Do you know why I hit you?" CEO Wang was confused. CEO Wang didn't understand, but the people around him gave him a hint. CEO Ye's ex-wife. Was CEO Ye a busybody? I gave you face, but you still spent 100,000 to buy his ex-wife. Even if CEO Ye had nothing to do with anyone now, he still had a son. The future CEO Ye would have to be thick-skinned. Just based on this point, CEO Ye would never allow his ex-wife to be with someone else so casually. 100,000? Don't make me laugh. Master Chung. Do you know about Master Chung? Last time, he spent 10 billion, but she didn't agree. He was courting and wanted to get married. Your 100,000 was just to send a beggar away. The title of CEO Ye's ex-wife was worth more than that. Yi Xiangnan stared at CEO Wang and smiled coldly. Do as you see fit. CEO Wang was used to being arrogant, but he was like a dog in front of Yi Xiangnan. Everyone knew about CEO Ye's means. CEO Wang was scared out of his wits. He knelt on the ground and shivered. Yi Xiangnan kicked him again to vent his anger. Get lost. CEO Wang was gone, completely gone. Yi Xiangnan looked at Su Mu again, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Miss Su, do you need something from me? The men who were having fun with him left first. They wanted to give him some space, but Yi Xiangnan asked them to wait for a while. Then he followed them in. Su Mu was afraid that he would go in and not come out, so she quickly called him, Yi Xiangnan. Yi Xiangnan turned his head and quietly looked at her for a while before saying softly, Do you have something to ask of me? Although she was humiliated, she still nodded. Yi Xiangnan sneered. You sure are enthusiastic about other people's business. After saying that, he ignored her and walked straight inside. Su Mu couldn't care less about anything else. She ran over and pulled his arm. He tilted his head and looked at her, his eyes cold. Come to my office at 10 tomorrow. I don't have time to see you now. Su Mu was stunned for a moment, and then her hand loosened. He had already entered. It was meaningless for Su Mu to wait any longer. She could only go back first. She didn't sleep well last night, so she got up early in the morning. There was a voice message from Cymbidium Chinense on her phone. Her voice was particularly soft and cute, saying that she missed her mother. Su Mu felt very upset when she heard that. She took the bus to the headquarters of Stars Entertainment after eating breakfast. It was the same receptionist from yesterday, but today she probably had some instructions. She smiled and said, "Miss Sue, please wait in the small conference room on the top floor. CEO Yi has a meeting in the morning. It should be over soon." Another meeting. Sumu nodded and went up. Unexpectedly, she met Shun Wenxuan in the elevator. Shun Wenxuan was also quite surprised. He had probably guessed why she was here. The news of Lu Hong's disappearance was quite fierce outside. It was the news released by Zhang Fucai. He didn't dare to call the police, but he was still good at using the power of the media. However, Master Chung was a man who never fell for this. Now, he could only beg Yi Xiangnan. When Shun Wenxuan and Su Mu met, things remained the same, but the people had changed. They didn't have much to say to each other, and they were even trying to avoid arousing suspicion. When they got out of the elevator, Shun Wenxuan sighed. "Su Mu, if you really want to save Lu Hong, soften your stance. CEO Ye's temper hasn't been very good recently." It wasn't only one person who said this to her. It seemed that CEO Yi was really in a bad mood. Su Mu nodded. At this moment, Secretary Li came over and said in a low voice, "Go to the conference room and wait. Su Mu, you have to be prepared. It won't be easy for CEO Yi to see you." The dogman knew that Su Mu had a request. Wasn't he going to put on airs? Su Mu also knew her situation. She could only wait. Her heart was very anxious, but there was no other way. She could only wait. After waiting for the whole morning, he still didn't see her. At noon, Secretary Li sent a lunchbox over. He didn't mean to say much, and Su Mu knew that. In the afternoon, Su Mu spent a long time. At 5 o'clock, she couldn't help running to the door of Yi Xiangnan's office. She opened the door and said, "Yi Xiangnan." He was talking to a very elegant lady. They were sitting on the sofa drinking coffee. There were 2 documents in their hands. It seemed that they were talking about a contract. Su Mu recognized that the lady was the most famous movie queen of Stars Entertainment. She didn't know how to get out of the situation. At this time, Secretary Li came over and said, "I was wrong. I thought CEO Yi was free." But these words couldn't do anything. How could Yi Xiangnan not know? And Su Mu's angry face explained everything. Yi Xiangnan said a few words to the movie queen, and they would talk about the contract another day. After sending them away, he looked at Su Mu and said, "For Lu Hong?" "Yes," Su Mu said softly. Secretary Li smiled and said, "I'll pour a cup of coffee for Miss Su." However, Yi Xiangnan said, "No need. You go out and close the door." By the way, Secretary Li's bonus this month will be deducted. Secretary Li wanted to cry, but thinking of the pigeon egg he got last time, he didn't feel so sad. Chapter 5134. After Secretary Li left, Yi Xiangnan looked at Su Mu and smiled faintly. "Sit." Su Mu didn't want to sit, but he didn't seem to be in a hurry. He drank his coffee, and his gaze fell on her face as if he was thinking about something. There was a touch of contempt in his gaze. Su Mu was pierced by that gaze. She stood there and couldn't say a word. Yi Xiangnan smiled faintly and put the exquisite coffee cup on a coffee table. Then, he looked at her and said, "Are you unhappy that I purposely didn't want to see you?" His words were really straightforward and impolite. Su Mu simply didn't have the face to stand there. Yi Xiangnan smiled faintly. "Although I don't really like Cheng Zheng, Su Mu, I'm a businessman. You know how powerful Cheng Zheng is in B City, right? Why should I make things difficult for him for a woman who has nothing to do with me? Don't you think so?" "Yes," Su Mu said softly. As she said that, her body swayed slightly. She was especially embarrassed. She had a feeling that the following conversation wouldn't be very pleasant. Sure enough, Yi Xiangnan stood up and walked to her side. He said faintly, "Miss Su, think about it. Is there anything about you that's worth my investment? Or is there something that's worth my investment?" He said in a low and hoarse voice. There was a hint of frivolity in his voice. Su Mu couldn't stand it. She took a step back and fell on the sofa. Yi Xiannan was standing right in front of her, looking down on her. Su Mu pursed her lips and instinctively moved back. Yi Xiangnan smiled. "You're afraid." He reached out and pinched her chin. "What are you afraid of? You're not a little girl anymore." She could guess what he wanted, but she didn't know whether he meant today, a month, or longer. Yi Xiannan looked at her face and smiled. She suddenly walked to the desk and threw a bunch of keys at her. Go find Secretary Lee and ask the driver to take you there. Remember, I don't like to force people. If you're willing, then do it. If not, then get out of here immediately. He spoke very rudely, and his tone was as if he was talking to a woman outside. Sumu knew that he was angry. He was angry that she always meddled in other people's business. He was angry that she made a mess of herself and was not worthy of being the mother of the Cymbidium Chinense. She lowered her eyes, and a trace of absent-mindedness flashed across her eyes. After a long time, she said softly, "I'll go." "I'm not surprised." Yi Xiangnan put his hands in front of him and said coldly, "If you go now, I don't like smelly women. Wash yourself clean so that you don't smell." Su Mu was especially humiliated. She knew that he arranged her in such a villa because he didn't want the Cymbidium Chinense to know, but she didn't know how he would humiliate her. But no matter what, she could only accept it. She walked out, and Secretary Lee was still at the door. When he saw the keys in her hand, he understood. He sighed and arranged for the driver. It was a very high-end villa, and it was decorated like a palace. It was suitable for rich men to indulge occasionally. Sumu got out of the car, and the driver drove the car away. She was the only one in the huge villa, but it was very clean. She could tell that it was often cleaned. Sumu couldn't figure out if this was a place where Yi Xiangnan had fun. If it was, she felt even more ashamed. The entire villa was decorated in Italian style, and it was so gorgeous that it was unreal. Sumu felt out of place, standing on the carpet. But she knew that she had to stay and do as he asked because only Yi Xiangnan had the ability to save Sister Hong. Chapter 51:35. Of course, she could beg Wen Yuan, but she didn't. She couldn't beg Wen Yuan for such a thing. She would rather sacrifice something to beg Yi Xiangnan. It could be considered an exchange. She didn't know why he agreed to it, and in this way, he should have no lack of women around him. Sumu went upstairs. The room upstairs was also luxurious. There was a bathtub where she could swim. She felt relaxed after taking a bath. Then, she put on a black bathrobe. There was only black here. She was probably too tired, so she fell asleep on the round bed. When she woke up, it was already nighttime. It was dark all around. She sat up and realized that there was someone beside her. Yi Xiangnan was sitting on the sofa, staring at her in the dark. Sumu was shocked. She pursed her lips and said in a low voice, "You're here?" Yi Xiangnan leaned on the armrest of the sofa. He held his chin with one hand and stared at her for a long time. Then, he walked towards her. Sumu bit her lips. In the end, she could only silently obey him. When it was late at night, he patted her face. "I'm hungry. Cook some noodles for me." Sumu sat down. It was still dark around her. Everything that happened just now seemed like a dream. She asked softly, "It's about Sister Hong." Yi Xianin walked to the bathroom and said nonchalantly, "You can't possibly think that I'll be able to get things done today, right? Sumu, you think too highly of yourself." It was quite humiliating. Sumu didn't dare to argue with him. She got up and went downstairs to cook for him like a little wife. Yi Xiangnan took a shower and went downstairs. At this time, the villa was already brightly lit. He slowly went downstairs with a smug smile on his face. Actually, he still had to thank Cheng Zheng. If it wasn't for him, why would Sumu obediently come to him and let him do whatever he wanted? He sat on the sofa, lit a cigarette, and looked at Sumu in the kitchen while puffing out smoke. She was wearing a black silk bathrobe, and from the back, she looked quite decent. Although she was thin, her bone structure was really good, and even her face was not that ordinary. He admitted that he liked to see her lose control, and it was because of him. This made a man feel very accomplished. Yi Xiangnan puffed out the smoke and stared at her back. Sumu finished cooking 2 bowls of noodles in less than 20 minutes. She put them into bowls and carried them to the dining room on trays. Yi Xiangnan didn't wait for her to call him and went over. He was indeed hungry. After work, he went to the Wen family. The matter of Cheng Zheng and Sister Hong was indeed very troublesome. He wouldn't admit it if he asked Cheng Zheng for her. He could only keep pressuring him and wait until Cheng Zheng felt that it was not worthwhile to hand her over. Before that, he wouldn't do anything to Sister Hong. In fact, Yi Xiangnan didn't care about what happened. He had been in the business world for a long time, and his heart was already as hard as stone. He sat there, looked at the vegetable and shredded meat noodles in front of him, and then looked at the bowl in front of Sumu. The vegetables were green, and there was a white egg nested in the middle. It was particularly beautiful. He didn't do it, but looked at her. Why is there no egg in my bowl? Sumu hadn't eaten yet, so she changed her bowl with him. But Mr. Yi was picky. Why is there no shredded meat in my bowl? Sumu changed back. This time, he did it himself. He put the egg from her bowl into his own. Sumu was a little stunned. She couldn't believe that he did such a childish thing. Yi Xiangnan quickly finished the noodles. After eating, he went upstairs and ignored her. Chapter 51:36. Sumu finished her meal slowly and cleared the dishes. She looked at the time and saw that it was already 11:30 p.m. It seemed like a long time ago. Her mind was in a mess. She went to the bedroom, but he wasn't there. Sumu couldn't fall asleep after lying down for a while. She thought about it and went to the study. She guessed that he would be there. Indeed, Yi Xiaonan was there. He was sitting on the sofa watching a series of commercials. This was the first time she knew that he would be involved in things behind the scenes. The commercials were shot by a top celebrity. She was at least many levels more beautiful than she was. When Sumu pushed the door open, he looked up at her, and then his attitude was surprisingly gentle. Come over and take a look together. Sumu went over and sat beside him. She was a little nervous. Yi Xiangnan leaned against the sofa and put his arm across the back of the sofa. He laughed mockingly. What are you nervous about? It's not like I'm going to eat you up. No, I don't really understand. Sumu said softly. I can't give you any advice. Yi Xiangnan didn't say anything. He just looked at it again attentively before saying, It's not good. You only know how to show how beautiful you are in front of the camera. This kind of traffic won't last long. He didn't seem too interested and turned off the screen in front of him. He then turned his head. Are you waiting for me? Before Sumu could say anything, he continued. Is it because of Lu Hong? Sumu, you're really working hard. You're willing to give up everything for her. I really wonder if you're more important than anyone else except our son. How long has it been since you last saw him? Why don't you ask me how he is now? Does he miss you a lot? Does he feel sad if he can't see you? He said a bunch of words, and Sumu couldn't refute a single word. After a long time, she wanted to speak, but Yi Xiangnan interrupted her. His voice was very calm. You can't think that I'll help you just by accompanying me and cooking a bowl of noodles for me, right? Sumu looked down. How long will you be with Mr. Yi? He chuckled. A little cruel. You call me Mr. Yi again. Didn't you call me Yi Xiangnan just now? Sumu was hurt by his naughtiness again. He leaned in front of her and chuckled. Why don't you want to play with memories? She was so ashamed that she turned her face away. Yi Xiangnan, don't do this to me. He sneered. Believe me, I'm already being very polite. Sumu, I told you not to fall into my hands. Now, you're begging me. If you feel that the method is wrong, get out immediately, and I won't force you. Sumu bit her lip and said after a long time, Then what do you want? Marry me, Mrs. Knight, and sign an agreement never to divorce me, he said bluntly. Sumu was stunned. He sneered. What, you don't want to? It seems like your friendship with Lu Hong is only SOSO. Sumu looked down and said after a long time, Yi Xiangnan, why do you want to marry me? It can't be because I love you. He was direct and cruel. In order to give Cymbidium Chinense a mother, and he stared at her. After getting married, don't contact the Su family as much as possible. I'll arrange Su Shaoqing in your work. It's like exchanging Lu Hong for a customized mother for Cymbidium Chinense. Sumu, think about it. After getting married, it's almost impossible for you to step out of the Yi family. Unless I want to. After Yi Xiangnan said that, Sumu was a little absent-minded. She didn't want to, but now she seemed to have no choice. Chapter 51:37. She wasn't willing to, but she didn't seem to have a choice right now. He was truly cruel to even say that it was a custom. This meant that Sumu couldn't be herself in the future, and everything would have to be according to his wishes. She only thought about it for a few seconds before she smiled. Her smile had a hint of bitterness to it. She agreed. Yi Xiangnan then glared at her and said in a mocking tone, "Look at how forced you are. You didn't look like you were forced earlier on. I remember that you were really happy and clearly enjoyed it. Sumu, you always say one thing but mean another. Do you really hate me that much? Or do you not dare to love me because of your inferiority complex?" He was arrogant and shameless. Sumu didn't want to talk to him. Furthermore, they had already talked it out. She pushed him away and ran back to the bedroom. She didn't know where she found a cigarette. Yi Xiangnan must have left it there. Her fingers trembled as she lit it up and took a puff. The moment she took it out, the cigarette in her hand was taken away. Turning around, she saw that it was Yi Xiangnan. "Sumu, I forgot to tell you something. There's another condition, which is that we have to have another child. If you're not prepared, I can postpone it for 2 years. My career plan for you is to become an anchor. When your position is stable, we'll have another child. I want a daughter." Sumu looked at Sumu and said, "Sumu, I forgot to tell you something. There's another condition, which is that we have to have another child. If you're not prepared, I can delay it for 2 years." Sumu was about to go crazy. She muttered, "What if it's a son again?" Yi Xiangnan leaned in, his voice especially hoarse. "Let's continue then. I thought you loved having children, but earlier on, Sumu couldn't take it anymore. I'm going to sleep." He grabbed her hand. "You have endless things to talk about with Shan Wenshuan, right? You're in the mood to spend your time with him, but you have nothing to say to me. Sumu, I'm going to be your husband soon. You're sick." She couldn't help but ridicule him. "Yi Xiangnan, aren't you tired of going back and forth like a woman?" "Woman?" His face was frighteningly gloomy. "Yes, I'm not as manly as that, Master Cheng. Do you like men like that?" He approached her step by step. Sumu regretted it. She knew she had to pay the price. Yi Xiangnan was refined and noble, but he was definitely not a gentleman. She was taught a lesson by him. She was miserable, bullied until she cried. Only then did he let her off. Pinching her chin, he said, "Say it again in the future. How dare you say that I'm like a woman again?" Probably because he thought it was interesting to see her cry, he pulled her in front of the mirror and let her see. "Sumu, do you still want to say that I'm a woman? Look, women cry like this, huh?" Sumu closed her eyes and spat out a few words. "Yi Xiangnan, you're really sick. The first time they stayed together, it wasn't a good time. They almost fought." Yi Xiangnan was angry at that time, but he seemed to be used to her bad temper. The next morning, he dragged her up and asked her to make breakfast. He even asked for more. When Sumu made Chinese food, he asked for Western food. When Sumu made Western food, he said that Chinese food was better. When Sumu made Western food, she was so angry that she placed both Chinese and Western food in front of him. He enjoyed her angry look and was in a good mood. In the past, she always made him angry. Now he got back at her. She was worried every day that Lu Hong wasn't around. CEO Yi suddenly felt that after Lu Hong came back, he would treat her as a guest for a period of time. That was pretty good. Sumu had to be obedient. Chapter 51:38. Yi Xiangnan had some dark thoughts, which were not known to others. He kept Sumu in the villa for a few days. He had to work on Monday, so he told her what had happened after he got up. Sumu leaned against the bed and watched him stand by the bed to put on his clothes and tie. She thought to herself that he was indeed a very good-looking man, but his temper was really bad. Until now, Sumu didn't know what he wanted to do. She couldn't understand why he didn't go to court for 3 days. She leaned against the bed and heard him say, "Get up and follow me to the company. There's a meeting today that you have to attend." She couldn't help but wonder if he was going to spend a week here if there wasn't an important meeting. In fact, Yi Xiangnan did have such a plan, but the situation outside was very tense. To put it bluntly, he had to pay a high price to get Sumu and marry her. At least, he had to fight with Cheng Zheng. One was to save Sister Hong, and the other was to steal the woman Cheng Zheng wanted to marry. Of course, Cheng Zheng didn't dare to touch the Yi family. That uncouth man wasn't that stupid, but it was easy to avoid a spear in the open, but it was hard to guard against a stab in the dark. Who knew what Cheng Zheng, a mad dog, would do? Yes, in young Master Ye's heart, Cheng Zheng was a mad dog. Although Yi Xiangnan was in the entertainment business, it was a legitimate business. At most, He did some work in the financial circle. However, Cheng Zheng was different. There must be some unorthodox business. The higher-ups had always wanted to catch him, but they couldn't find a chance. Yi Xiangnan would rather offend a gentleman than a person like Cheng Zheng, although he could afford to offend the president of Stars Entertainment. Sumu wanted to ask about Sister Hong, but she was afraid that he wouldn't want to, so she got up and silently tied his tie. To Yi Xiangnan's surprise, Sumu tied the tie very well. She looked inexplicably beautiful in black silk pajamas with her hair down. Yi Xiangnan opened his mouth, and his voice was a little hoarse. "Why are you so active? Do you need my help again?" Sumu pursed her lips and asked in a low voice, "How is Sister Hong?" Yi Xiangnan reached out to smooth his tie, but unfortunately, he caught her hand. Sumu wanted to pull her hand away, but he didn't let her. He grabbed her hand and said in a hoarse voice, "Other than asking about her, do you have anything else to say to me?" Indeed, Sumu did not. In the past, they could still get along with each other peacefully. However, these few days, he had been particularly hateful. Yi Xiangnan smiled. He knew that she was probably annoyed with him. He grabbed her hand and looked at it for a while. "Are you angry? Isn't that what a normal couple is like? Besides, we're newlyweds on our honeymoon." Speaking of this, Sumu was even more disgusted. The day after she moved in, he asked Secretary Li to bring a lawyer over to sign the marriage certificate. She didn't even know if they were remarried. It was like a child's play. No matter what, they were legally married now. He locked her here and said that they were going on a honeymoon. Sumu was scared to death of him. How could there be any sweetness? He probably knew it too. He chuckled softly, and his voice was especially low and seductive. "Are you not used to this?" Sumu suddenly didn't want to talk to him anymore. She bit her lower lip and said, "I'll go make breakfast." Yi Xiangnan grabbed her wrist. "Change your clothes. I'll take you to the company later." She frowned and instinctively refused. However, Yi Xiangnan said again, "Don't you want to see Lu Hong? I've asked Cheng Zheng." Sumu's eyes slightly widened. Yi Xiangnan snorted. "I think you're suitable to live with Lu Hong. I don't know why you're so interested in such a woman. She's a reporter, but she's like a veteran. You'll learn bad things if you follow her." In essence, a rich young master like Yi Xiangnan didn't like women like Sister Hong. He felt that she was too casual. Thinking about it, it was necessary to drink with her and then do her hair. If Sumu followed her for a long time, she would probably learn bad things. After Yi Xiangnan finished speaking, Sumu hated him. After thinking for a long time, she still couldn't help but refute him. What about Lin Lu? She's not like a veteran. What is she like? Unexpectedly, Yi Xiangnan answered her seriously. "She's a slut." He was really shameless to the extreme. Sumu glared at him. He smiled. "Well, it's all in the past. I don't even remember what she looked like. Is there a need to mention it?" Sumu didn't say anything. She wanted to change her clothes, but he grabbed her hand and dragged her to his side. Sumu was particularly speechless. "Yi Xiangnan, what do you want now?" "Nothing." His voice was low and hoarse. "I just want to ask if you're jealous." Sumu stared at him for a long time before saying, "No. So you don't care if I have a woman outside?" He seized the meaning of her words to make an issue. In fact, he was also teasing her. Now he felt that it was quite interesting, and he was not in the mood to find a woman. Yi Xiangnan was used to seeing beautiful women. He had also played with them once, but he was not as good as Sumu. Of course, a wife was meant to be doted on, not played around. He added in his heart. Sumu struggled for a while, but couldn't break free. She was a little annoyed. "If you want to find one, then go find one." In the end, she still broke free and walked into the cloakroom to change her clothes. He had actually prepared a lot of clothes here, all of which were her measurements. They were very fitting clothes, but they weren't meant for upper-class women. There were quite a number of women who had a more mature style. Sumu was slightly stunned. Yi Xiangnan actually came over again. His beautiful chin rested on her shoulder, and he chuckled. "Why do I feel that your words are a little jealous?" "That's what you think." Sumu's voice was still cold. He chuckled and reached out to choose suitable clothes for her. In the end, he pulled out a wool skirt and a white coat. Since Sumu was thin, she looked good in light-colored clothes. Initially, he wanted to buy her some famous brands like Chanel. However, firstly, he was afraid that Sumu would not be used to them. Secondly, She was still very young. She was only 23 years old. There was no need for her to dress up too extravagantly. That would make her look old. Yi Xiangnan was born into a wealthy family and worked in the fashion industry. He had good taste and could also see that Su Mu was talented. She picked the right clothes and had a good temperament. After fooling around with her for a while, he did not go out even after Su Mu changed. It was not that she was used to it, but she had no choice. They went downstairs. Su Mu made a Western-style breakfast, mainly because it was more convenient. Yi Xiangnan drank a glass of milk and said casually, "I have an appointment with Cheng Zheng. It's not convenient for you." Su Mu looked down. "Then why should I go to the company?" Yi Xiangnan laughed. "Did you think that I would meet Cheng Zheng at the company? What else? Where? It can't be at his club, right?" Su Mu asked softly. Chapter 5139. Yi Xiangnan still chuckled. "Mrs. Yi, you've started to control me as soon as you got married." Although he said so, Su Mu knew that the title of Mrs. Yi was just a name. She was no different from his mistress. She was placed in the villa for him to enjoy. If she wasn't a plaything, what was she? A marriage certificate couldn't change the fact. Su Mu's biggest advantage was also her biggest shortcoming. She was too sober, or she didn't know how to deal with it. Sometimes, she wouldn't do something that could be solved by acting coquettishly. She just wanted to be stubborn to the end. She didn't say anything. Yi Xiangnan pinched her chin. "What, you don't admit it?" "I didn't. Don't be so boring," she said softly. Yi Xiangnan laughed and didn't say anything else. He just finished his breakfast and got in the car. In the car, he said casually while fastening the seatbelt, "Let Secretary Lee take you to the station to get familiar with the environment. I forgot to tell you that the office of the station is in Stars Entertainment. You have to go to the studio for recording. In the future, Mr. Yu will send you to and from work every day. No one will dare to bully you. You know how powerful it is. Many women can't get it." After saying that, he smiled proudly. He wanted to do that for a long time. Wasn't Su Mu stubborn? Wasn't she disobedient? He had to straighten her up and make her listen to him. It was interesting to torment her like this. It was better than dating a beautiful woman. No matter how beautiful a woman was, she would always lose her character when she saw CEO Yi. It was boring to be the same. Su Mu was different. CEO Yi had fully experienced it these days. He was in a good mood. Although he had to see Cheng Zheng, he wouldn't be in such a bad mood. He hated Mr. Cheng very much before. He went to Stars Entertainment in a very good mood. After handing over Su Mu to Secretary Lee, he held a group meeting until 10 o'clock in the morning. After 10 o'clock, he raised his hand to look at his watch. Finally, he drove out by himself. The location turned out to be a tea house. It had an antique atmosphere and was very cultured. This place was decided by Master Cheng. Master Cheng had heard that his ex-husband's pretty boy had a very high education level. If you were to meet at places like the clubhouse, he would be laughed at. Therefore, he discussed with his subordinates and chose this place. It was grand and bright. However, no matter how open-minded Master Cheng was, he was also shocked by the demeanor of the gigolo when he came in. After not seeing him for a few days, his ex-husband's bad luck was swept away, and he was actually very different. Master Cheng was a man, so he knew the reason as soon as he thought about it. He immediately stood up and said gruffly, "Yi Xiangnan, what did you do to Su Mu?" Yi Xiangnan was born into a good family and had seen the world. Cheng Zheng's moves could not scare him. Even if he came alone, he would not be afraid. If a person in the entertainment industry did not have this bit of courage, how could he be the president and support his artists? Yi Xiangnan curled his lower lip and sat down. He looked at Master Cheng and said, "Is this Su Mu you're talking about, my wife, Su Mu?" "Wife?" Master Cheng was stunned and then felt a little depressed. Yi Xiangnan's tone was very relaxed. Just like Master Cheng's thoughts, he swept away his previous bad luck. "I forgot to tell you that Su Mu and I have gotten our marriage certificate. We are legally married. Now we live alone. Mumu can wash clothes and cook. She is very gentle and considerate. She even helped me tie a tie in the morning." The meaning of his words made Master Cheng go crazy. This man really did do something to Su Mu. Chapter 5140. He was too shameless. On the one hand, he secretly used the people of the one family to make things difficult for him, and on the other hand, he forced Sumu. Sumu must have been forced. Master Cheng's eyes widened, and he was about to lose his temper when one of his subordinates pulled him and reminded him in a low voice, "Master Cheng, Miss Su is not anyone to you. You can't do anything to CEO Yi now. Besides, they have a son. You forgot that you are here to do business today. If you ruin business because of your love affair, it will be terrible in the future. If this goes on, more than half of the venues will be closed, and it will be very difficult in the future." Under his persuasion, Chang Zheng loosened his clenched fists and sat down unwillingly. His voice was still rough. "I have never seen such a despicable person as you. Mumu must have been forced and bullied by you." Yi Xiangnan smiled and asked for a cup of tea. His slender, jade-like fingers gently twirled the tea leaves, which was actually a bit seductive. Master Cheng's eyes widened. Fuck, this gigolo's hands are even more beautiful than those of women. No wonder so many women like him. No, women still like men like me who are masculine and have a good physique. However, this gigolo's appearance was really good. His skin, the shoulders and the expensive suit, and his nose and lips were all famous. Master Cheng felt that he couldn't look at him anymore. He even felt that Yi Xiangnan's Adam's apple was a little sexy. Wasn't this what women like the most? For the first time, Master Cheng was not so confident in his male hormones. He stared at Yi Xiangnan for a long time and said, "You look good, but you are useless." Yi Xiangnan didn't care. He took a sip of tea and said, "Su Mu is very happy." Master Cheng was about to vomit blood again. Is this gigolo here to talk business or to show off? At this time, he couldn't afford to offend this gigolo, so he kept drinking tea. What the hell is this? It's not as good as coffee. Master Cheng got someone to bring a cup of coffee over. The person gave him a cup of hand-ground yogurt, but Master Cheng wasn't used to it. It's too bitter. Change to something sweeter, the kind with cream. Seriously, you can't even do something right. You're deliberately making me unhappy. His subordinate was about to cry. That's called instant tea. It can't be sold in such a high-end tea house. Master Cheng was already very angry, so he scolded, "Then go and buy it for me." His subordinate went to buy it. Master Cheng straightened his clothes and pretended to say, "I'm sorry to let Bossy see a joke." Yi Xiannan smiled, and then said indifferently, "Cheng Zheng, what's your purpose today?" Master Cheng glared at him. "Didn't you come here to beg me? Really?" Yi Xiangnan said indifferently, "I don't have anything to ask of you." If Master Cheng has nothing to say, then it's settled. I still have something to do. Su Mu is waiting for me to come home and cook for her. She has been working hard these days. Master Cheng cursed the gigolo to death in his heart. This gigolo was so sinister. The cause of the incident was obviously him trying to save Sister Hong, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he used underhanded means to put pressure on him through the Wen family. That person from the Wen family gave the order, and all the big and small people in B City wanted to kill him. It was originally an exchange, but now it became a one-sided request. Master Cheng was very clear that he was going to be blackmailed. Why did Su Mu narrow her eyes? She found such a sinister gigolo and gave birth to a son. In the future, would Cymbidium Chinense be as cunning as his father? Chapter 5141. Master Cheng was not convinced in his heart. How could he be so easily restrained by gigolo? Master Cheng smiled, revealing a row of white teeth. CEO Ye's words are a little hurtful. CEO Yi and I agreed to have tea here, but CEO Yi is concerned about the woman at home. How about this? I'll invite CEO Yi to have some fun. There are all kinds of girls. This gigolo, when he hugged a girl, he would take a photo and send it to Su Mu. Su Mu would be very angry when she saw it. At that time, he still want to get close to Su Mu? Yi Xiangnan was as calm as water. Mr. Cheng, you may not know this, but I'm newly married. Our relationship is very good. No matter how beautiful the outside world is, I don't have eyes to look at it. Mr. Cheng, you don't understand this kind of feeling. Master Cheng was angry. How could he not understand? Is he bullying me because I don't have a wife or a woman? I have all kinds of wild cats in my big villa. I can spoil this one today and love that one tomorrow. Can the gigolo do it? Does he dare do it? If I play with him like this, will Sumu skin me alive? Master Chung was quite clear about Sumu's character. She was stubborn and smelly since she was young. If someone wasn't good, she would ignore them until they died. She was very patient. After all these years, Master Chung also felt that he was cheap. Why couldn't he forget her? She didn't look good and had a bad temper. At this time, Master Chung thought about it. It didn't seem worthwhile to be with Sumu. He couldn't flirt with women and play around. He had to report when he went out. Otherwise, Sumu would ignore him for a year. Just thinking about it made his life miserable. Master Cheng's mood became better. He looked at Yi Xiangnan and smiled. Actually, men are more free when they are single. Isn't that right, CEO Yi? Yi Xiangnan's slender fingers held the cup. Are you jealous now, Mr. Chung? Why would I be jealous? Master Chung complained, and then his expression turned serious. Lu Hong can be released, but can CEO Yi also show mercy? After all, my brothers still need to eat. Yi Xiangnan smiled faintly. Your brothers want to eat? My stall also needs to eat, and they're all quite dissatisfied. They say that Master Chung of B City only cares about himself and doesn't leave any rations for others. After working for nothing for so many days, they're also a little impatient, so they can't do without some things in their hands. When Master Chung heard this, he knew that this gigolo was up to no good. Great! This gigolo was trying to take advantage of Master Chung. This gigolo had guts. He really wanted to kill this brat, but he couldn't. This guy was the precious egg of the Wen family. Master Chung laughed while bleeding. Isn't it just a matter of money? CEO Yi is also a person who is used to such situations. Just give me a number. Yi Xiangnan smiled. Mr. Chung, do as you see fit. It's just a matter of drinking a cup of flowers. It's no big deal. Master Ching stared at his face and sneered. CEO Yi really kills people without seeing blood. You're amazing. I've seen it today. He lowered his head to write a check. 200 million was gone just like that. However, Yi Xiangnan put his hand on the checkbook and smiled. Just write me as the recipient. Master Chung originally had a plan. He wanted to get hold of those bastards' weaknesses. They ate his food and drank his food. How could they not pay some price? However, this gigolo in front of him was too powerful and shrewd. Master Chung ground his white teeth. CEO Yi is really generous. Chapter 5142. Yi Xiangnan smiled. Master Chung knows more about the underworld than I do. Am I right, Master Chung? He called him Master Chung. Why did Master Chung feel that this gigolo was mocking him? Master Chung narrowed his eyes and chuckled softly. Boss Yi is right. We should be more careful. Actually, 200 million is just a drop in the bucket for me. He wrote a new check and tore it off for Yi Xiangnan. Yi Xiangnan took it and looked at it. After confirming that there was no problem, he asked, Where's Lu Hong? In the hospital. She's almost recovered. When Master Chung mentioned this, his breathing became chaotic. CEO Yi, don't think that this woman is a good person. She's very powerful. She was clearly enjoying herself, but she stabbed me after that. Should I get angry? Yi Xiangnan recalled that Cheng Zheng was hospitalized. What he said was true. Then he thought about Lu Hong's usual style. This matter was probably not the responsibility of one party. However, he knew that Master Ching didn't care about human lives. If it wasn't for Su Mu, Lu Hong's life would have been over. He didn't feel that it was a pity. A superior like Yi Xiangnan rarely had sympathy. Besides, it had nothing to do with him. However, other than Su Mu begging him, there was another reason why he asked the Wen family for help. It was because his mother, Wen Yuan, and Su Mu were friends. For this reason, he had to help. He knew that Su Mu was too embarrassed to ask his mother, so she begged him. In fact, it was the same for her to beg his mother. But now that he had a wife for free, he was obedient. CEO Ye's life immediately reached its peak. He was in a great mood. Holding the check, Master Chung was still sitting behind him. When she recovers, she will naturally walk home by herself. No one will tie her down. Yi Xiangnan curled his lips. I believe in Mr. Cheng's integrity. He walked out and got into the Bentley parked at the entrance. He was elegant and graceful. Master Chung gritted his teeth and squinted his eyes as he watched. One of his subordinates at the side raised his voice and said, "Master Chung, if you ask me, just put a bomb in his car and send him to heaven." Then no one would dare to go against Master Chung, and Miss Sue would belong to Master Chung. When Master Chung heard this, he immediately slapped him. With a cold expression, he said, "Are you looking for death? Do you know who that is? If you want to send him to heaven, why don't you send me to heaven?" Master Cheng's masculinity was especially strong. Send him to heaven, and we all have to play with him. In the past, if they didn't mess with you, they would turn a blind eye. Send the one family's gigolo to heaven. Was your head kicked by a donkey? The underling didn't dare to make a sound and cowered there. Master Cheng's anger was especially great. "You listen to me clearly. I'll say it once. You're not allowed to touch that pretty boy with the surname Yi, and you're not allowed to touch my woman. If even a single strand of hair is missing, I'll skin you." The underling trembled in shock. "And Master Chung, didn't you say that Miss Sue married that pretty boy CEO Yi? Why is she Master Cheng's woman again?" Master Chung slapped him again. "I said that she's my woman, so she's my woman. Do you have a problem with that?" That underling didn't dare to have a problem. Sobs so pitiful. Master Chung narrowed his eyes and stared at the entrance of the tea house. "Let's go to the hospital. Are we going to see Reporter Liu?" The underling asked carefully. Master Chung stopped in his tracks and narrowed his eyes. "If we don't see her, are we going to see your mother?" The underling rubbed his nose and felt wronged. Master Cheng's temper was too bad. No wonder Miss Sue didn't like him. They also felt that Master Chung deserved it. Chapter 5143. Very quickly, Master Chung arrived at the hospital. In the private VIP ward, Sister Hong leaned against the headboard and scrolled through her phone. Master Chung was not in a good mood, and seeing how calm she looked, he felt even worse. He took the phone from her hand and threw it into a container at the side. Instantly, the phone's lifespan ended. Sister Hong was extremely speechless. She guessed that he must have suffered some kind of loss again and came to look for trouble with her. Sister Hong did not want to bother with him, but she was also on guard because this mad dog would really bite at any time. Her injuries had just recovered a little, and she did not want to be killed again. Looking at her gaze, Master Chung let out a cold smile and sat at the side with a folding fan. "Don't act like a virgin. I've already told your ex-husband about your history. Your ex-husband is now in the hospital, and his wife is taking care of him together. Just think about it. It's such a blessing. Say, why are you so stubborn? It's just a small matter of your body. It's not a big deal. Why do you have to be so stubborn? Look at you. You gave up on a man who is so infatuated with you." Sister Hong knew that he was going to talk about Zhang Fucai kneeling again. She did not want to hear it, not because she hated it, but because she was afraid to face it. She felt a little sad, right? That damn fatty must be feeling bad. Sister Hong and Zhang Fucai had been together for so long, and a lot of the hatred between them had faded. Now that this happened, they were more like old friends. She was silent, and Master Chung moved closer to her face. "Thinking about that fatty again? Why don't I apologize to you, get you that fatty, and you guys can continue to be husband and wife?" Sister Hong could not stand his frivolity. "Chung Zheng, are you always like this? You don't even ask before deciding someone else's life. Have you discussed it with me before? How do you know that I will be willing? Didn't you deserve it when I stabbed you? Don't think of everyone as a spineless bitch like Su Jiyan." Master Chung was scolded, and he was very unhappy. He sat on the sofa and lit a cigar leisurely. "It's just a physical thing. Didn't they say that you're not a little girl? Besides, you were quite happy at the time and didn't resist. There's no need to be so awkward afterward. If you didn't act like that, maybe we could still be together for a while. Other than your bad temper, you're much better than Su Jiyan." Sister Hong's reply was to throw a pillow at him. "Shameless bastard, get lost." After she said that, Master Cheng's face darkened. He licked his lips and said, "Do you know why I'm in a bad mood?" Sister Hong's mouth was moving up and down. It was obvious that she was extremely angry. Master Chung chuckled coldly. "Yi Xiangnan only took 200 million from me. and I still have to let you go. Great reporter, Lu. You've really found yourself a good backer. Lu Hong was stunned for a moment and immediately realized that Su Mu had saved her. Master Chung laughed coldly again. Smart. If it weren't for Su Mu, I would have killed you as easily as killing a chicken. After Master Chung said that, he stood up. Don't provoke me in the future. Otherwise, I'll fall out with you. He left, and the door closed with a bang. Sister Hong was still in a daze, not understanding what was going on. Did this mean that he was going to let her go? She could leave now? Sister Hong thought about it and immediately jumped off the bed. She looked out of the window. Indeed, after Master Ching left, his subordinates left as well. She was indeed free. Chapter 5144. Starlight HQ. Yi Xiaonan's car stopped, and Secretary Li walked up to him. Su Mu went to report today and performed well. She even did a trial broadcast. I was watching from the side and felt that it was pretty good. Yi Xiaonan closed the car door and adjusted his tie. He said elegantly, "Of course she's not bad. Do you think my taste is bad? She herself only knows how to sell shoes. A smart woman would have climbed up long ago. She's so stupid." He complained about Su Mu to Secretary Li as they walked. "If it wasn't for me, I'm afraid she would still be a doormat in the station." Hearing this, Secretary Li was a little touched. CEO, you could say all this to her, which meant that she was still his confidant. Secretary Li listened and gave some professional advice, raising her status once again. She was half a bestie of Su Mu. Su Mu and CEO, you were always on and off, always messing around. But from a bystander's point of view, CEO, Yi had an inexplicable possessiveness towards Su Mu. This was probably a common problem of males in the animal world. They had a strong possessiveness towards the female that they had given birth to and wouldn't let other males touch her again. Secretary Li sighed. It was already 2019, and CEO, Yi still had such thoughts. He was really a traditional good man. The moment the dogman said that, it was the end of the story. As they chatted, they reached the top floor. Yi Xiaonan took off his coat and threw it on the sofa. He untied his tie, asked Su Mu to come and see me. Secretary Li was also speechless. She coughed lightly. CEO Yi, it's working hours now. What are you thinking? This isn't your home. Yi Xiaonan narrowed his eyes. She's my subordinate. Isn't it normal for her to come and see me? Secretary Li was even more speechless. Su Mu is just a lowly employee now. She comes to see CEO Yi whenever she wants. How do you think she will do her job in the future? Will anyone dare to ask her to do anything in the future? If CEO Yi wants her to accompany you, she can just be a second secretary. Why do you want her to be an anchor? When Secretary Li said that, Yi Xiaonan felt that it was reasonable. He narrowed his eyes and said, "You're right." He stood up and took his coat. "Let's go for an inspection." Secretary Li was about to cry. Even if they were newlyweds, they shouldn't be like this. As it turned out, Secretary Li was right. After Yi Xiaonan parachuted into one of the office floors on the 20th floor, the entire floor was in an uproar, especially when the female employees ran around telling everyone that CEO Yi was here. CEO Yi was here. Su Mu sat in front of her desk, reading some documents and listening to some broadcasts. She didn't hear the news because she was wearing earphones. Otherwise, she would definitely hide in the washroom. She didn't want Yi Xiaonan to take special care of her. That man's interest in her was so strong that it was scary. Yi Xiaonan was always surrounded wherever she went in Starlight Entertainment. Not to mention that this floor was just one of the stations under the company. The station manager personally greeted her and brought CEO Yi on an inspection tour. She was a female higher-up and was quite understanding. She called all the pretty female anchors in the station over and greeted in unison. "Hello, CEO Yi." Yi Xiaonan frowned and stopped. His eyes swept across their faces one by one. Fortunately, he didn't see the person he was thinking of. "Director Wong," he said. "Those who know are a row of anchors. Those who don't would think that I'm in a nightclub. Don't they have to work? Are you a leader or a pimp?" Chapter 5145. Director Wong panicked. He looked at Secretary Li and tried to figure out what was going on. Wasn't it like this before? CEO, you didn't touch her, but liked to look at her. Which man wouldn't like this? CEO Yi liked her in the past. Now that Su Mu was in the company, how could he like her? Besides, he was still a newlywed. He was more interested in Su Mu. Yi Xiangnan stared at Director Wang coldly. Director Wang seemed to be scalded by something. He immediately waved his hand and dismissed the female anchors. Only when he had the chance could he ask CEO Yi as confidant, Secretary Li. Secretary Li, what's going on with CEO Yi? Su Mu's identity was kept secret on this floor. Star's building was huge. Only the headquarters of Star's building knew about the incident. The TV stations under them didn't know about the relationship between Su Mu and Yi Xiangnan. Besides, didn't they get a divorce? No one would think about it. Everyone here called Su Mu Xiao Su. Director Wang asked. Secretary Li smiled. CEO Yi has been a vegetarian recently. He likes to eat at home. Director Wang didn't know if he understood. Secretary Li smiled. Let's go. CEO, you won't be happy if you can't find her. People like Secretary Li were like relatives of the Emperor to Chief Wang. She carefully tried to please Secretary Li by treating her to meals and giving her bags. Secretary Li rejected her. Although she was a little greedy, she would not stretch her hand so far. The nightclub would not be happy about it. She was treated well as a secretary. CEO, you would give her a big red packet from time to time. Besides, the pigeon egg was given by Master Chung, but CEO Yi allowed it. It was a good benefit. Secretary Li spoke vaguely and did not give a correct answer. Until now, Director Wang still could not figure out what was going on. He thought about it and felt that CEO Yi wouldn't be so free. It must be a sudden impulse. On the other side, Yi Xiangnan had already strolled to Su Mu's office. There were 8 people working in a space of about 30 square meters. Su Mu had her head lowered as she tried to listen to a recording with her headphones on. Yi Xiangnan stood beside her and tilted his head to ask Director Wang, "Are you new here?" Su Mu was arranged by Secretary Li, and Director Wang couldn't figure out her background. He only knew that she had someone in the headquarters of Star's Entertainment. At this time, when he heard Yi Xiangnan's question, his heart skipped a beat, and he began to ponder. How should I answer? After thinking for a while, Director Wang said cautiously, "He's new." "All right, he's someone arranged by Secretary Li. I haven't found out the details yet. Which university did he graduate from? How is his business ability? We have to assess all these. Don't worry, CEO Yi. I won't let anyone come in through the back door. Those who stay in our TV station must be competent." These words were said with sincerity. Su Mu didn't hear it because she was wearing her headphones. She was very focused, but everyone in the office was looking at her and CEO Yi. They felt that CEO Yi was going to cause trouble for the new little Su. However, they felt that this ordinary little Su looked familiar. Isn't it because the photo of Master Cheng's confession was too blurry? And they didn't expect that the female lead would work with them. At this time, Yi Xiangnan said softly, "She didn't graduate from university." Director Wang was dumbfounded. Then, he looked at Secretary Li. Secretary Li pretended not to see it. Chapter 5146. Secretary Li pretended not to see it, but Director Wang was implying that she was in deep trouble. Why did she send someone who hadn't even graduated from university to me? What should I do? Just as Director Wang was about to speak, Yi Xiangnan spoke again. She doesn't have much work experience. She used to be a shoe seller. When he said that, he was playing a prank on Su Mu. Director Wang was about to cry. Director Wang was about to cry. Her favorite thing to do was to flatter others, for fear that the leader would have a bad impression of her. Now that she heard Yi Xiannan's words, she almost fainted. Thus, she decided that no matter who it was that pushed in, Su Mu must not be allowed to stay. After all, Director Yi was the most powerful person in Star's Entertainment, and she couldn't afford to offend him. Thus, Director Wang's expression turned ugly. "I didn't know anything about this." "Don't worry, CEO Yi. We won't let someone like her stay. Send her back to the Human Resource Department immediately." She glanced at Secretary Li. She still felt that she had offended Secretary Li, but CEO Yi seemed to be reprimanding her. Secretary Li was speechless. Director Wang must have been too engrossed in being an official, to the point that she had lost her eyesight. How free must CEO Yi be to ask a new, insignificant person? He must be interested in her. Moreover, CEO Yi didn't look the least bit unhappy. His face was filled with the fanatical expression of a little boy looking at his favorite toy. Secretary Li cursed in her heart. No wonder Director Wang didn't have a boyfriend even though she was in her 40s. Her EQ was really low, but Director Wang didn't know that. She took off Su Mu's earphones and said calmly, "Report to the Human Resource Department later." Su Mu was surprised. She looked at Director Wang and Yi Xiangnan beside her. She immediately realized that it was a prank. She was speechless. Yi Xiangnan. Director Wang was going crazy. How dare you call CEO Yi by his name? I don't think you need to go to the Human Resource Department. Just go back. At this moment, Yi Xiangnan looked at his watch. It's time to get off work. Let's go home. As he spoke, he tidied up the personal things on her desk and said to Secretary Li, "Help her tidy up." Secretary Li smiled and said yes. He said goodbye to CEO Yi and Miss Su. From his politeness, it was easy to tell who Miss Su was. Everyone on the scene was dumbfounded, looking at CEO Yi elegantly taking away the newbie who hadn't graduated from the university. They are. The newbie little Su is the legendary heroine who is favored by God? Secretary Li packed up his things and said to the dumbfounded Director Wang, "Su Mu is CEO Ye's wife. You should know what to do in the future. I heard that all the anchors have their own private office. Arrange for 5 minutes, and the nightclub will be happy." Everyone was still in a daze, unable to come to their senses. Secretary Li further reminded, "CEO Yi is very concerned about Miss Su now. You see, he specially came to work because he was afraid that she would be bullied. There are some things that CEO Yi can say, but you can't say. Saying that she hadn't graduated from the university and that she sold shoes. CEO Yi was warning them not to talk nonsense in the future. They didn't know that CEO Yi was really concerned about her." After Secretary Li finished, Director Wang heaved a sigh of relief and complained for a while, "Why didn't you say so earlier? You scare me to death." As he said that, he wanted to treat her to dinner. Anyway, he wanted to take the opportunity to treat her. Secretary Li declined, saying that CEO Yi still needed her, so she left politely. Chapter 51-47. Secretary Li declined, saying that CEO Yi still needed her, so she left in a decent manner. At this point, the rumor that Su Mu was CEO Ye's wife had spread throughout the station, and it was also a fact that CEO Yi loved his wife very much. In the future, even CEO Wang would have to act according to Su Mu's mood. She was a very favored person, and the rumored Lin Lu was not worth mentioning at all. Secretary Li left. How could she be a third wheel? She got off work directly. Yi Xiangnan took Su Mu to his office. The exclusive elevator was under maintenance, so they took an ordinary elevator. As a result, when the elevator door opened, all the staff in the elevator saw CEO Yi and Mrs. Yi standing side by side. CEO Yi was pulling each other, and Mrs. Yi looked reluctant. Oh my God, what kind of famous scene did they see? Everyone secretly looked at it, then looked up and pretended not to see it. Someone secretly took a picture with his phone and uploaded it to the corporate network. Hee, big news, famous scene. Su Mu immediately flung his hand away with a face full of shame and anger. CEO Yi was thick-skinned. "We are legally husband and wife. What's the big deal?" Su Mu was about to speak when her phone rang. She saw that it was Sister Hong, so she picked it up immediately. Yi Xiangnan was not very happy. Sister Hong again. It was better for that woman to fall into Cheng Zheng's hands. She probably wanted to ask for a meal the moment she came out. Just when he was unhappy, Su Mu covered the phone and asked him softly, "Sister Hong is back," and asked if we want to have a meal together. Yi Xiangnan originally had no feelings for Lu Hong, a woman always looking for something to do and was bold and unrestrained. He didn't want to agree, but Su Mu said we. He put his hand in his pocket. "Let's go." After saying that, he found that the elevator that should have gone down was still there, and the audience was still there. CEO Yi gave them a look, and they finally closed the elevator door. Then he looked at Su Mu. Su Mu had already hung up. "Sister Hong is treating us to hot pot." Yi Xiangnan didn't make a sound and just stood there. He had clearly agreed before, but now Su Mu didn't know what he meant, so she said softly, "Say something." Yi Xiangnan looked at her. "You want to go? Consider it a welcoming dinner for Sister Hong," Su Mu said pitifully. At this moment, there was even a hint of pleading in her tone. Yi Xiangnan said arrogantly, "You're not allowed to deny our relationship in the company in the future. You're not allowed to fool around." Su Mu was a little angry. "You're the one who's messing around. I won't do it again. If I must, I can only ask Mrs. Yi." He smiled, then took her into the elevator and went to the office. He still had something to deal with. As he flipped through the documents, he asked, "What time is Lu Hong's appointment?" 7:30. Su Mu said. Yi Xiangnan nodded and sat behind the wide desk. He said in a low voice, "Go and give me a glass of water." Su Mu didn't move. "I'm not your secretary. Are you burning the bridge after crossing the river?" He looked up at her. "Don't forget that you're Mrs. Yi now, and a small employee of Stars Entertainment. What's wrong with giving me a cup of tea?" Su Mu snorted and went to pour a cup for him. Obviously, she was still unhappy. She sat on the sofa and read the news. Yi Xiangnan took a sip of water and then smiled lightly. "Do you know that you're spoiled now?" Chapter 51:48. "Really? Why don't I think so?" Su Mu still snorted. Yi Xiangnan smiled. "That's because you're used to it. Try talking to me like that with someone else, huh?" Su Mu was speechless. "Then what do you want me to do to you, CEO Yi?" Yi Xiangnan lowered his head and flipped through the documents again. "What do you think?" Su Mu smiled coldly. "You want to be like Secretary Li in the company and be a qualified wife at home." This time, he finally put down the things in his hands and walked to her side. He stood in front of her and looked down at her. "Su Mu, you just need to be a good wife. It's the same everywhere." Whether it was in Stars Entertainment or in the department she was in, because she was Yi Xiangnan's wife, it didn't matter whether she was outstanding or not. No one dared to ask CEO Ye's wife to work overtime, and no one dared to say that she didn't graduate from college. This was the hidden benefit of being a CEO Ye's wife. He didn't allow her to say no. He didn't want his wife to work overtime every day. He married her because it was fun. He wanted her to take care of some Bidium Chinese and himself. If she worked overtime every day, would she still be his wife? She was just an employee. Thinking of this, Yi Xianan smiled and reached out to hold her sharp chin. "You're already married. You don't have to be so career-minded." Su Mu stared at him. Once again, she felt that she really didn't have that much freedom. There were conditions for her to marry him. She had to obey him and listen to him. He had arranged everything well. She just had to cooperate with him in his life. In other words, she was asked to be the wife he wanted, but he might not be the husband she wanted. It was as simple as that. Seeing that she didn't say anything, Yi Xiangnan guessed what she was thinking and chuckled. "It's too late to regret now. Su Mu, think about it carefully. You don't mind selling shoes, but your sister Hong won't mind having nothing, not being a reporter, not being able to find a job everywhere. Say no more." She turned her head. "Yi Xiangnan, you're a jerk. That bastard made you happy too. You don't mean what you say." He chuckled softly and let her go so that he could settle some of his own matters. After that, Su Mu was no longer in the mood. The sofa was originally right next to the French window. As the sky gradually darkened, it was filled with colorful lights outside. In fact, she knew that she didn't know how to be grateful. She didn't know how many women envied her life. To be honest, although Yi Xiangnan was a little bad, he didn't treat her badly. What else could she not be satisfied with? Su Mu lowered her eyes. She probably didn't know either. After Yi Xiangnan was done with his work, he covered the golden brush and his gaze landed on her. She was looking at the scenery outside and lying on her stomach. After taking off her coat, she was only wearing a wool skirt, and her waistline could be clearly seen in the back. Thin and slender, but also quite beautiful. Yi Xiangnan walked over and hugged her from behind. "What are you looking at?" Su Mu was shocked. She turned her head, and his chin was on her shoulder. She immediately turned her head back and said, "If there's nothing else, can we go?" She looked at the time. It was almost 7 o'clock. Yi Xiangnan suddenly said, "I'll take you to buy a watch later." It's not convenient to keep checking the time with your phone. Sumu instinctively wanted to refuse again, but Yi Xiangnan narrowed his eyes and said, Sumu, if you refuse, think about the consequences, okay? She thought about his methods and closed her eyes to avoid thinking about them. Yi Xiangnan smiled with satisfaction. Chapter 5149. Updated quickly, no pop-up window, free to read. After getting in the car, Sumu fastened the seatbelt and suddenly asked, When can I see some Bidium Chinese? Yi Xiangnan started the car and looked at her sideways. I thought you didn't want your son anymore. Haven't you been happy these days? Sumu's face was a little hot. She knew that he did it on purpose. He liked to say those private things to embarrass her, and it was indeed very embarrassing. Fortunately, he wouldn't say it in front of others. Yi Xiangnan looked like a standard young master, and he was quite gentle, but he was definitely not a gentleman in private. He was very bad, especially when they were alone. Sumu was very afraid of him. This was also the reason why she was usually a little obedient. She really couldn't stand his means, so she didn't say anything. Yi Xiangnan turned his face, looked at her, and then smiled gently. What? You still don't admit it? Aren't you also very happy? She didn't know why, but she said such a sentence like crazy. As soon as she finished speaking, Yi Xiangnan laughed in a low voice. His laughter was very light and happy, a little more attractive than the night. I'm very happy. I'm very happy every day. Mrs. Yi, do you feel a sense of achievement when I say this? Sumu was not willing to listen to his words directly. She turned her head to one side, and her hair covered half of her face. From his angle, she looked a little more charming. In fact, Sumu was quite a woman. It was probably because she gave birth to a child early. It didn't mean that she looked old, but there was a kind of smell that only women had, which was quite fascinating. This was also the reason why CEO Yi went home every day to eat vegetarian, and the food was quite delicious. He was so bad that Sumu was even more unwilling to talk to him. Later, at the red light, he lifted her hair and touched her face. So hot. Yi Xiangnan, what do you want? She was a little annoyed. Yi Xiangnan stared at her little face, and after a while, he smiled gently. Don't you know? Sumu pushed his hand away at once. I don't know. It was obvious that she was a little angry. He did not make things difficult for her, because the green light in front of them had turned green. At 7:30 sharp, his car stopped in front of the vegetarian hot pot restaurant. This place was very famous, and Sumu and Yi Xiangnan had been here twice. After getting out of the car, she silently followed behind him and arrived at the private room where she had arranged to meet Sister Hong. When he saw Sister Hong, he naturally felt a little complicated. Sister Hong's injuries had not fully recovered, but it was no longer a big deal. Sister Hong was there, and to their surprise, Editor Zhang was also there. When they entered, the two of them were smoking together like brothers. It was impossible to tell that they were an ex-husband and wife who had a falling out with each other. Sumu also knew that after this incident, Sister Hong and Editor Zhang probably felt like old friends. The love and hate had passed, and all that was left was the cherishing of the past. Zhang Fucai was beaten black and blue, and he still looked a little ugly like a pig. The way he smoked was a little funny. Sumu endured it and greeted them. The other party treated her the same as usual, but he treated Yi Xianin differently. On one hand, he had a particularly distinguished status. On the other hand, he had saved Sister Hong. On the other hand, he had done her the honor of eating this meal. Yi Xianin had never expected this. Sister Hong couldn't help but take another look at Sumu. Sumu did not say anything. She just sat next to Yi Xiangnan and ate in silence. Sister Hong was very clear that a man like Yi Xiangnan would not release the eagle until he saw the rabbit. She was able to come out. Sumu must have sacrificed a lot. As for how much, it depended on their expressions. Chapter 5150. When Zhang Fucai told her that Sumu and Yi Xiangnan had gotten married, she didn't believe it at first, but now she believed it. She felt a little upset in her heart. Sumu did it for her. But from another point of view, Sister Hong felt that this might be the best ending for Su Mu. Cheng Zhang's matter had taught her a great lesson. Without power, she could only be at the mercy of others. Su Mu was the woman Cheng Zheng wanted. If it weren't for Yi Xiangnan, Cheng Zheng probably wouldn't have been so polite. This might be the best outcome for Su Mu. But Sister Hong didn't say these words. Su Mu should have experienced it herself. After this incident, her state of mind had changed a lot. It seemed that she had accepted many things, especially Zhang Fucai. Zhang Fucai was timid. His only shortcoming was that he liked women. Now that he wasn't her husband, it wasn't that he lacked something. She didn't expect that he would be willing to sacrifice himself. Sister Hong sighed. She looked at Yi Xiangnan and Su Mu and said, "Today, I must propose a toast to CEO Yi, not only to save me, but also to wish CEO Yi and Mu happiness." Yi Xiangnan didn't care. At this time, he was a little interested. He smiled faintly and raised his glass. Su Mu could not give face to Sister Hong, so she also raised her glass. Although she couldn't drink much, she still drank a small glass. When she poured the second glass, Yi Xiangnan stopped her and said, "Don't drink if you can't drink. You're just trying to show off." Su Mu looked at him and said, "Just one more small glass." Yi Xiangnan let her drink. "I won't be responsible if you drink too much. Don't expect me to carry you home." Su Mu ignored him and talked to Sister Hong. She hadn't seen Sister Hong for many days, and she was injured, so she was also very worried. Sister Hong was very carefree. Although she suffered a loss because of Cheng Zheng, she didn't care. After all, she had stabbed Cheng Zheng. On the other side, Yi Xianan and Zhang Fucai were drinking wine. Fatty was overwhelmed by the favor. Who was this? This was CEO Yi. He was actually drinking wine with him. Editor-in-Chief Zhang was especially careful. He kept saying CEO Yi and the Sun News Agency. Towards the end, he started to speak incoherently. Yi Xiangnan smiled. "Let's not talk about business today. How about this? I'll give you an exclusive interview. Just let Su Mu prepare it for reporter Lu." He turned to look at Sister Hong and Su Mu. "Is there a problem? Satellite TV and the Sun News Agency will be synchronized. You'll be the first official case." Su Mu is stunned. Sister Hong pushes her and says, "Hurry up and thank your bossy." After Su Mu said thank you, she felt that something was wrong. Zhang Fucai scratched his head and chuckled. "Aren't we all family? Why are you thanking me?" This sentence made the atmosphere a little awkward. Yi Xiangnan looked at Su Mu and smiled. "You can thank me when you get home." Zhang Fucai chuckled again. He was born a bit of a pervert, and now it added a bit of ambiguity. Su Mu was also quite pervert. Sister Hong glared at Zhang Fucai. Sister Hong glared at Zhang Fucai. "What are you laughing at? Do you think everyone is like you? Your brain is filled with paint. I heard that when you were hospitalized, Du Meili bullied your wife. Zhang Fucai, you should grow up. She followed you at such a young age. How is she not worse than Du Meili?" Zhang Fucai chuckled. "Aren't men all the same? Du Meili is already broken up." Chapter 51:51. Sister Hong felt strange, and even Su Mu felt that the sun had risen from the west. She looked at Zhang Fucai, but he didn't say the reason. In the end, he didn't say anything. The meal didn't end until 10:30 p.m. Su Mu ate a lot, which was all forced by Yi Xiangnan. It was hard not to eat. When they left, Yi Xiangnan put his arm around her shoulders and said goodbye to Sister Hong. He drank, and Su Mu was even more drunk. He had already asked the driver to wait for them. When he saw them coming, he immediately drove the car over. "Sir, madam, get in the car." Zhang Fucai and Sister Hong stood side by side and looked in that direction. Zhang Fucai sighed. "Su Mu is really a diamond in South Africa. I didn't expect it." He then turned to look at Sister Hong. "Say, Su Mu isn't that beautiful. How did she get CEO Ye's affection? There are so many beautiful women out there." Sister Hong lit a cigarette and smoked it quietly. She glanced at Zhang Fucai and said, "Do you think everyone has the same taste as you? Su Mu isn't like you, a coquettish slut who keeps climbing into men's beds." She exhaled a mouthful of smoke. After all, they have a child. Sumu's character is also very attractive to men. She looked at Zhang Fucai. Don't you men think that what you can't get is the best? That's the case for CEO Yi now. Hearing that, Zhang Fucai became excited. He took the cigarette from Sister Hong's mouth and took a puff. Then he licked his old face. Right now, to me, it's best if you can't have it. Sister Hong snorted. Is that so? Zhang Fucai licked his face again. Of course it is. Then he became serious. You see, we could be considered old friends. Lu Hong, all these years, it's not like you can't see through my thoughts. I regret a lot. At this point, Sister Hong didn't play dumb. It's impossible for us. Zhang Fucai squinted and took a puff of smoke. Why is it impossible? Sister Hong lit another cigarette. Do you want me to be your mistress? Or are you going to divorce me and marry me? Let's just treat it as a close confidant. Zhang Fucai shamelessly said, half in truth and half in lie. Sister Hong stood there and stared at him, smoking a cigarette. Zhang Fucai, are you asking for a beating again? You still haven't woken up from the previous beating, right? Zhang Fucai scratched his head. Can we not talk about this? This time, because of you, I was beaten up badly by that guy with the surname Chung. This is all because of you. As he spoke, he gritted his teeth. If I have the ability, I will definitely kill that bastard. He actually dared to treat you like that. Isn't it just sleeping? Sister Hong didn't seem to mind. What's the big deal? You're the one shouting about killing him. Besides, if you want to kill him, do you think you're going to use all that fat on your body to do it? You don't even know how to train yourself, and you still have the cheek to talk about reconciling with me? Do you think I'll be willing with that body of pork? Du Meili is the only one who doesn't despise you. Zhang Fucai's pig face turned red. Lu Hong, don't go too far. I risked my life for you. Yeah, you got beaten up for nothing. Sister Hong said coldly. She was also deliberately angering him. She was definitely touched, but this was the way they interacted. After so many years, she wasn't used to being so intimate all of a sudden. Besides, she didn't want to give him any hope. Zhang Fucai was a little dejected. At this moment, he received a call. It was from his wife, saying that their child had a fever. Chapter 51-52. After hanging up, he told Sister Hong, "The child has a fever. I have to rush back." Sister Hong nodded. "Hurry up and go. Don't mess around outside anymore. It's not easy for your wife to take care of 2 children." Zhang Fucai threw away the cigarette, but in his hand. "I know. I'm leaving. Be careful when you go back." Sister Hong took out a card. "Go. Don't mess around outside anymore. It's not easy for your wife to take care of 2 children." Sister Hong took out a card. "Here, this is for you." There was 300,000 yuan in it. It was a small gift from her. Although he was the chief editor, he had spent a lot of money on Du Meili these days. It was not easy for his wife at home. Cheng Zheng let her go and asked her subordinates to give her a check for 5 million yuan. She gave this to Zhang Fucai as a medical fee and a small gift from her. Zhang Fucai was stunned for a moment. Then he frowned. "What kind of person do you think I am?" Sumu said coldly, "Take it. Don't be so wishy-washy like a girl. Hurry up and go. Treat your wife well in the future." Zhang Fucai didn't know why, but his nose turned sour. He came over and hugged Sister Hong. He said softly, "Lu Hong, I'm sorry. Be my wife in the next life. I'll definitely treat you well." Lu Hong was silent for a moment. She wanted to cry too. Then, she pushed him away and said with a smile, "You're talking nonsense again. I want to give you a big slap." Zhang Fucai's eyes were filled with tears. "You're like this. You're tough on the outside, but soft on the inside. You're a good woman. I'm the one who doesn't have the luck in this life." Sister Hong pushed him. "What are you talking about? Hurry up and go to the hospital." Zhang Fucai grunted. His Adam's apple seemed to be choking. Soon, he took a taxi and left. Sister Hong stood there alone with a slender cigarette in her hand. She puffed out the smoke in the dark. It was very charming and attractive. At least, in Master Cheng's eyes, it was quite attractive. Master Cheng was dressed in black, with 2 subordinates following behind him. He had also been eating nearby, but he didn't expect to see his old rival the moment he came out. He looked at Sister Hong's clothes and her long hair carefully, as if he wanted to see every bit of skin on her. Sister Hong also saw him. She stood there, puffing out a cigarette, and stretched out her hand to hail a taxi. Master Cheng gave him a look, and his subordinate asked the car to leave. However, the driver refused. "You guys are not allowing others to ride in the car." Master Cheng snapped his fingers, and one of his subordinates immediately threw a stack of 100 yuan bills into the car. There were about 2,000 to 3,000 yuan, and the driver immediately drove away happily. Grandpa Cheng smiled. "See, this is the charm of money. There's nothing that money can't solve. If there is, then there's not enough money." Sister Hong was speechless. "Cheng Zheng, what are you trying to do?" Master Cheng rubbed his chin and looked at her. "I'm curious to know what you're up to." "Why? You've just recovered and you're out seducing men again? That fatty just now is your old lover, right? What's the matter?" "My ex-husband's injury has healed and he's ready to make up with you again." "Can that fatty do it?" When Master Cheng said that, his subordinate laughed. "How can he be as healthy as our Master Cheng? Follow our Master Cheng." Master Cheng spat out. "Do I look like the kind of person who would beg others? I'm surrounded by beautiful young ladies. It's already enough for me to play with an old married woman once. Do I have to invite her back to cook for me again?" His subordinate was quite innocent. Looking at Master Cheng's face, he seemed to be very interested. His eyes were even glowing. He clearly wanted to die. Chapter 51-53. 1 second to remember. Actually, Master Cheng's underlings had discussed this in private. Reporter Liu wasn't very good looking, but he was quite flirtatious. Once he put on makeup and dressed up, he really looked like a woman. As for Su Jiyin and the other women, they were like little desserts to Master Cheng. He was already sick of them. Didn't they say that what a man wanted the most was the hardest to get? Other than Miss Su, Reporter Liu was probably the only one who caught Master Cheng's eye. Miss Su was Master Cheng's benefactor when he was young. Of course, Master Cheng wouldn't do anything to her. However, it was different for the great Reporter Liu. Even if he was polite in the past, after such a stab at each other, there wasn't any face left. However, Master Cheng's taste was really heavy. But at the same time, he was thinking about 2 women. Whether he was a scumbag or not wasn't something that they, the underlings, could ask about. They were only responsible for watching the show and encouraging Master Cheng. In total, Master Cheng had only courted 2 women. One was Miss Su, which was a big deal. The other was Reporter Liu. Although the method was a little special, they could tell that Master Cheng liked Reporter Liu. Master Cheng's eyes lit up again. Sister Hong didn't have time to waste with Cheng Zheng. She had to go back. Just as she was about to walk away, her arm was grabbed. Then, Master Cheng's voice was low. "You're using my money to support a gigolo. You want to run now?" "Your money?" Sister Hong sneered. "How is it your money? Also, I can spend my own money however I want. It doesn't have anything to do with you, Cheng Zheng. Besides, is Zhang Fucai a gigolo? You know very well whether it is or not." He sneered. "Do you think I'm blind?" Sister Hong looked at him and found it funny. "Cheng Zheng, are you crazy? I'm not related to you. Didn't we agree to go our separate ways?" She glared at him. She thought he would be difficult to deal with. She didn't expect him to convince Master Cheng. Master Cheng touched his buzz cut and said, "Yeah, why do I have to be so serious with you? You could just go and sleep with whoever you want. I don't care." As he said that, he walked away with a snort. Sister Hong cursed, "You're really sick." One of Master Cheng's subordinates asked Master Cheng, "Why don't you just tie that woman up and bring her to the villa? Master Cheng can do whatever he wants." Master Cheng hit him on the head. "Am I that kind of person? I have no interest in that old woman." As he muttered to himself, he got into the Mercedes-Benz and left. After smoking 2 more cigarettes, Sister Hong called Zhang Fucai to ask him how the child was. Zhang Fucai's voice was quite low. "Fortunately, it's 39 degrees. I came in time. The fever has already subsided a little." Sister Hong said a few more words before hanging up. On the other end, Zhang Fucai hung up the phone. His wife asked softly, "Was that Sister Hong?" Zhang Fucai nodded. "Yes, we had dinner together tonight to thank that CEO Yi of Stars Entertainment. After all, It was an honor for a big shot like CEO Yi to have a meal with him. However, his wife came from a small place and did not work after getting married. She was somewhat out of touch with society, so she did not say anything. Therefore, he was a little resentful. At this time, his wife suddenly said, "Futsai, I know that you have always had Sister Hong in your heart. If you really want to, why don't I? What are you talking about?" Zhang Futsai interrupted her. "Even if I want to, she won't. With my fat body now, probably only you will take me seriously." Chapter 51-54. Right? He took out a card and said, "This is my bonus. There's 300,000 yuan in it. Save it. Our child will need to spend a lot of money in the future." Thus, the little girl was relieved. The man put the money with her, which meant that his heart was at ease. After a while, she remembered and asked, "Fu Kai, is that CEO Yi you mentioned very powerful?" Zhang Futsai looked at her and said, "Very powerful. He's the only related male of the two most powerful families in B City. Don't you think he's powerful?" The little wife looked yearning and said, "That's really powerful." Asterisk at this time, the powerful CEO Yi was sitting in the back seat of the car with Sumu beside him. She drank a little too much and was a little drunk. Fortunately, she wasn't allergic. He regretted letting her drink. If she had an allergic reaction, it would be too troublesome to go to the hospital, and it would also affect her body. She was already a pile of bones, and thinking about how she drank with Lu Hong in the past, he wanted to shake this woman awake now. She was really too stupid. However, now that she was leaning on him, the faint smell of alcohol mixed with the smell of her body was quite nice. Yi Xiangnan couldn't help smelling it, and even moved closer. Sumu didn't wake up. She leaned on his shoulder cluelessly until the car stopped at the entrance of the villa. The driver wanted to get out of the car to open the door for them, but he realized that CEO Yi didn't intend to get out of the car, so he got out and left quietly. In the car, it was warm, which was completely different from the cold outside. Yi Xiangnan turned his head and murmured, "It's not that I don't want you to drink. You drank so much." He patted her face, but she didn't react and still leaned on his shoulder. "No, you don't expect me to carry you upstairs, do you?" Yi Xiangnan frowned and said, "Sumu." She opened her eyes. He didn't know if she was sober or drunk, but she stared at him. Yi Xiangnan suddenly had some evil thoughts. He pinched her chin with his slender fingers and said, "Do I look good?" Su Mu's gaze became even more fixated, with a hint of eagerness. She nodded and said, "Yes." Yi Xiangnan moved closer. "Do you want to see more?" "Yes," she said, reaching out to touch his nose and his face. "Do you want such a good-looking man to be your husband?" His voice deepened. Sumu grunted. There was even a hint of sweetness in her voice. At least, Yi Xiangnan felt that it was a little sweet. He was completely close to her and asked softly in a tone that could not be refused, "Who is better looking, me or Shun Wenxuan?" Sumu stared at him for a long time before saying, "You look good. Call me husband, and I'll let you keep looking." Yi Xiangnan found it particularly interesting to tease her like this. Usually, Su Mu was cold and indifferent, as if she had no interest in him. When she was drunk, she would stare at him and not bear to look away. In fact, she had always liked his face, but she just couldn't bear it. She didn't mean what she said. Su Mu continued to stare at him. After a while, she said softly, "But I don't have a husband. Isn't Yi Xiangnan your husband?" He coaxed her. He didn't expect her to be so strong when she was drunk. How did she survive in the past? The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Wasn't she afraid of being taken advantage of? Thus, he loosened his grip on her chin. Sumu bit her lips and said that it hurt, but he didn't let go. "You still no pain, huh?" Chapter 51-55. Sumu just stared at him blankly, muttering softly in pain. That day's look made Yi Xiangnan feel rather amused. He chuckled deeply, teasing her just like that. That day's look made Yi Xiangnan feel rather amused. He chuckled deeply, teasing her just like that. It was very warm in the car, filled with the faint smell of alcohol and his burning scent. If it were any other day, Su Mu would definitely not be able to take it, but right now, her mind was in a complete blur with only the name Yi Xiangnan left in her mind. Yi Xiangnan. Yi Xiangnan. She did not know how many times she had said his name before he let her go. Afterward, he carried her out of the car and into this luxurious villa. The villa was especially warm, and she fell asleep in his arms. She only woke up when the morning sun shone on her face. When she opened her eyes, she was surrounded by a sea of black and gray, luxurious decorations and style. She thought of Cheng Zheng's description of a gigolo, which seemed to match Yi Xiangnan's description. She smiled, but when she sat up, she could not smile anymore. She was wearing a white shirt. It wasn't the first time she had worn Yi Xiangnan's shirt to sleep, but that was when she was in her pajamas. But she remembered that he had worn this shirt yesterday, and there was a faint masculine scent on it. Su Mu's face became hot all of a sudden. It was as if he was burning from the inside out. At this moment, Yi Xiangnan came in. The moment he came in, he saw her like this. He smiled. "What's wrong?" Su Mu immediately slid under the blanket, biting her lips and not saying a word. At this moment, she was wearing his shirt, and her long hair was scattered over her shoulders. She looked very soft, and CEO Yi could not help but think too much. Curling his lips, he sat by the bed and reached out to touch her hair. "I didn't have the strength to get your pajamas last night." Su Mu bit her lips and glared at him. She looked really funny. Yi Xiangnan asked, "Is there a problem?" She lowered her eyes. "Of course there's no problem." Yi Xiangnan nodded shamelessly. "You're right. You're mine. You're just a piece of clothing." He came close to her and whispered, "Mrs. Yi, what do you think?" Su Mu was still biting her lip and couldn't answer him at all. He didn't feel that he was making things difficult for her. Instead, he kissed her and rubbed her hair. "Get up. Breakfast is ready. I'll take you to work later." He said it casually and naturally. Su Mu disagreed. "Yi Xiangnan, can you not be so high-profile?" He lowered his head. "High-profile?" He stared at her again. "I think it's very good. But Su Mu, are you trying to seduce someone by hiding your married status? Oh, by the way, Shenwen Xuan is also in the company. Do you have any inappropriate thoughts?" Su Mu was furious. "Yi Xiangnan, don't slander me." "Well, prove it to me, Mrs. Yi. Prove that you only have Mr. Yi in your heart and no one else." His voice became hoarse. Su Mu just stared at him. Obviously, she was furious. Yi Xiangnan chuckled. "Are you angry? Angry or admit it? Boring." Su Mu directly lifted the quilt and got up. She ran to the cloakroom. She didn't want to talk to him anymore. Yi Xiangnan always liked to be like this. She didn't know whether other people would think he was annoying, but it was obvious that he didn't want to let her go. When she was about to close the door of the cloakroom, Yi Xiangnan blocked the door and then pressed her against the door. In fact, he was bullying her. Fortunately, there was heating in the cloakroom. She wouldn't be too cold wearing only a shirt, but she was afraid. She was afraid of Yi Xiangnan like this. Chapter 51-56. Are you afraid? His voice was a little intimate, and he said in her ear, "Apologize and I'll let you go." "There's nothing to apologize for. Yi Xiangnan, you're just bored." She closed her eyes gently. "It's getting late. I have to go to work." Yi Xiangnan raised his hand to check the time and then said softly, "There's still half an hour before we leave. Change your clothes quickly and don't put on makeup. Have breakfast in the car." Her eyes widened. Half an hour later, Su Mu got into the car, and Yi Xiangnan gave her a bag. "I made breakfast, Mrs. Yi." Su Mu didn't want to eat at all, so she leaned against the back of the chair to rest. He never allowed her to sit in the back when she sat in his car, saying that he wasn't her driver, so Su Mu didn't object anymore. She tilted her head and said softly, "Please don't. I have to go to work in the morning." "Isn't it normal for newlyweds to be like this?" He pinched her chin and said, "Eat your breakfast. You're already thin enough. I don't want to feel like I'm holding a bone when I hold you." Su Mu really wanted to ignore him, but she still ate her breakfast in the end. If she didn't eat, he would probably torture her in other ways. The car drove for more than half an hour until they arrived at the headquarters of Stars Entertainment. Yi Xiangnan got out of the car, and Su Mu had already gotten out from the other side. He stopped her. "Come to my place for lunch at noon. Annie Chen's cooking is more to my taste." I'll just eat in the staff cafeteria. Sumu didn't want to be privileged. After saying that, she left without asking whether he agreed or not. Yi Xiangnan smiled and let her go. When Sumu arrived at the floor where she worked, she felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange, and she couldn't describe it. She walked to her seat and sat down. Her colleague asked in a low voice, "Is Bossy really your husband?" Sumu said, "Okay." That person exchanged glances with the other people in the office. They were surprised and delighted at the same time. They were surprised because this was the wife of the boss of Starlight, and they were in the same office. They were delighted because they could cozy up to her in the future. If they could flatter her, Sumu knew what they were thinking and softly said, "I just arrived and don't know anything. Please give me some pointers, especially professional stuff." As soon as she finished speaking, a pair of well-maintained hands gently placed on her shoulders, followed by a gentle voice. "Sumu, don't worry. We will help you familiarize yourself with the environment here. Everything will be connected, and we will also treat you as an ordinary colleague, so you don't have to feel pressured." Sumu looked up and recognized that it was the satellite TV's leading actress, Zhao Ning. Zhao Ning's temperament was very good, and she seemed to be cultured. Moreover, she was quite famous and did not put on airs. She was very popular in the station. It was the first time they met, and Sumu had a good impression of her. She smiled and nodded. Zhao Ning obviously had high status here. Her words were gentle, but they carried weight. Even Director Wang respected her when he saw her. Zhao Ning smiled. "I will be going back for maternity leave soon. Sumu, you have to quickly familiarize yourself with the work after this. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me. If you need a voice test, you can also find me. Don't be afraid of trouble." She then said, "Director Wang might arrange a separate office for you, so I suggested to her that you can do it in my office. My maternity leave won't be wasted when I go back." She was very understanding. Sumu did not know how to reject, so she did not say much. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.